wants a 6 month settlement and to rent it for 6 months too.
No, that's not a buyer. Why would he need that?
Because he wants to sell he wants us to sell his house in Terrigal. But he's like not quite ready. Like he needs like a month or two to prep it and then.
Yeah. Should tell me that stuff before I put an offer in.
Well, I didn't know that. Until I spoke to him last night.
Jordan.
Well,
Jordan, don't tell lies.
I didn't. He's 225.
You did know he needed a delayed settlement.
I said 3 months. I told you 3 months.
Okay, ready? Hey everyone, welcome back to another 31-minute podcast. Here we go. Jordan's just getting in trouble today. Not telling me all the information. Annoying.
I just got too many offers on the run.
No, try and schmooze it over. Anyway, let's get into today. I want to talk about sliding door moments, and I want to talk about building profile.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be happy to know there's no frequency on this one, Jordan.
Building profile excites me.
Yeah. Sliding door moments, I think sometimes we underestimate how powerful they are, how good they are. So sliding door moments, can I talk about one?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So when I was younger, about 20, I went in, and you know this story, but some people don't. I went into the tattoo parlor, and my mate was the tattooist. He's in jail now, but a lot of people in bike gangs, they used to own tattoo shops. Good friend of mine. Anyway, I went in to get a tattoo all down my face, around my back, down my arm, down to my hand, all down there. And
tribal too, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was like that up your face, so up half your face. And so I said to him, "Oh, this is what I want." Blah blah blah. Anyway,
how
all the
come?
stenciling.
Just quickly.
Just the scene I was in. You know, you just think like, "Oh, that'd be a good idea." And then, so he was doing it, and then when he got to my neck, he just went around my back, and like around from like sort of one shoulder to the other shoulder at the back. And I was like, "Oh, hey, no, I wanted to go up here." And then like he goes, "No, can't do it to you. You have to go somewhere else. I'm not going to do it to you." And I was that angry. I was so annoyed, but it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Imagine there was a tattoo all up my face, down my neck, down my arm, out my hand. So my dad, who used to be, was like a bikie, but he used to just ride with the Hells Angels, but he didn't join them. And he used to say to me, never have anyone own you. So when you join a club back then or whatever, it's like you're just in there, so you can't sort of really get out of it. And he said, I never want to be owned, but they're all my friends and I hang out with them, but I never want to be owned. And then he said, and the other bit of advice I got for you, he didn't tell me many things. So he said a couple of things. He said, never get tattoos where anyone can see them. So he said, like on your hands, up your neck, on your face, all that sort of stuff. He said he was covered in tattoos. My dad had more tattoos than I've ever seen on most people. He didn't have any skin on his arms. It was all completely covered, and chest, back.
But nothing on
legs,
his hands and face? Nothing,
because he said, and he had chains around his wrists, but they started at about like here, like they started 3 inches up, and then from there you just had full sleeves. I mean, this is back in the 70s and 80s.
When
like,
tattoos were
not really.
Not even
he was
in
like,
a lot,
considered like a bit of a like madman. Now it's cool, I think. But so back then though, he was just like a bit of a rebel type of guy.
Yeah.
And the other thing he said was, if you go out with a girl, look at their mum. That's what you're going to get. So he gave me 3 bits of advice. That's about all he gave me.
I can't believe that you were going to get it all up your face. That's
all up my face. And I was...
You know what? You would either be dead or in jail right now, because you would have had to stay in that world, because you wouldn't have been accepted anywhere else.
No, I know.
Like that would have been it.
But I also like didn't really care. I just wanted to be like... Because when I first got into that scene, I could see everyone that was the most feared and the most connected, they were sort of like the guy. You know, it doesn't matter what... You just had to be the scariest. And everyone was like, oh, and I was so like young, and I was like, I want to be one of those. So it was like, yeah, I'm so glad it didn't. I often think about that now. Like imagine trying to sit somewhere and someone take you seriously, and you got all these things up your face, and yeah, there was a movie called Day to Dawn or something.
Mm.
The guy in there had it. It looked really good. I liked it. I was like, that's what I want to look like. Yeah, so
It's amazing.
So anyway, but sliding door moments, that was such a good one. Like at the time, I was annoyed. Now I'm like,
Did you ever speak?
I need to find Harry.
Did you ever reconnect with him after?
No, he's still in jail, I think.
But not even like.
He was a friend of mine.
Yeah, but not even like a few years later and go like, oh, gee, Harry.
No, a lot of things
lucky I didn't
happened.
get that tattoo on my face.
No, a lot of things happened. So I think he ended up going to jail. But good guy. Good guy. Like, think about it. Like in that scene, really, people didn't, another story, quick one. This has got nothing to do with sliding door moments. When I got my first tattoo, I was about 15 years old. I went into the cross. A couple of mates from Maroubra. We all got a tattoo each. The guy said, oh, what's your name? I said, oh, Matt Steinway. Matt Steinway. He goes, Steinway? No way. He goes, I did all your dad's tattoos. This is like didn't know anyone in the cross then. I was from Maroubra. Didn't even, the cross was like this total different planet. Just pick some random tattoo shop in the back of the cross in some seedy laneway. I said, oh, I'll have that. It's on my hip. It's like this skull and crossbones thing with a hood on. It's like,
would you take them all off now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want any tattoos now.
I reckon in the next 5 to 10 years there'll be cream and it'll just come out probably.
No.
You don't think so?
No. Is that your justification of getting them? You got them everywhere.
Yeah, but I didn't get them to be like a scary standover figure.
No.
I like the looks of David Beckham and Justin Bieber.
Yeah, so they're
and
cool
I think
now,
like
right?
good
Yeah.
fashion,
Yeah.
but like classy tattoos too. But people still don't accept that.
I think they changed this. Well, this leads into nicely about building profile, but I think they do change the perception of you.
For sure.
Like Jackson's mum, she's got tattoos all over her.
Yeah.
And, you sort of like, she went from this squeaky clean look to completely different. Like,
Yeah.
Didn't she, Jack? Yeah.
Well, I don't go anywhere with, like, I wouldn't say go up to the Trojans and risk bumping into somebody like John Stevens, for an example, in shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want his mentality to change around me for any reason. I need to build the relationship well enough that people go, oh, I know who he is inside before I make a decision on his tattoos.
Yeah.
But I wear a suit all day anyway.
Do you believe in angels?
I'm not completely sure.
No?
I actually believed you just become worm poo for a long time.
You weren't poo?
Yeah.
No, I reckon there's more than that.
Yeah, I think
to
so
be.
too. Like, there's too many coincidences with energy and all that sort of thing. And I'd like to be able to meet my pop again at some point, but I don't exactly believe. No one, I don't believe in religion. I don't think you need a set of rules to run your life by. I think it suits people, and that's great. But it's been a lot of bad things come from religion too. But I think that
not so much religion. I understand. Sorry to jump in, but
Yeah.
I reckon you got God. I think you have spiritual guides.
So
I
do you think
you
it's?
do.
I completely agree. But
I'll
do you
tell you
think
a
that
story.
there's a guy sitting up there like, Matt did that thing, so I'm not going to let him into the gates of heaven? Like,
Yeah.
do you
Sort of.
actually think there's the
Sort of.
classic heaven and hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There's sort of like, there's definitely accountability. There has to be. There's accountability for everything.
Yeah.
So there's duality. So like, I think there has to be.
Do you have trouble Do you have trouble like? I'm so evidence based. They've never, not once, found any evidence of ghosts or anything ever.
That's not true.
There's no evidence. There's zero.
What are you talking about?
There's none.
Of course there is.
None. Like, there's stories, but there's nothing on camera or anything like that.
There is.
I've gone on this journey because it interests me so much. I hope so. Like, my nan's very unwell. Like, she's the most important thing to me in my life. Like, I'm banking on there being something because the fact that I'll never see her again completely messes my brain up. But like, what if we're in a simulation?
Well, we're having an earthly experience, but there's also a part of us that's still connected to the spirit plane because you're operating without any help. So you're breathing, your heart's going, and this and that. And you're just talking about your nan. Like, your nan's old now. She's
That's 97.
97, not working as well as she used to. But she's going to go somewhere soon at some point.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a conversation of ours for a couple of years now, but more so now. You can feel it, can't you? It was like, and you said she's getting ready to.
I said
to go.
It feels like she's sort of had enough now.
Yeah, that's right. Where's she going to go though?
Hopefully somewhere paradise.
So hang on. You just said you just go to worm poo.
Well, you know what? I've only started shifting my mindset a bit only in the last couple of years. When my pop died, it completely rattled me, but it's still at that point, I was like, I hadn't been on this journey with you. I hadn't really been in touch with things that are very hard to explain, like sliding door moments, like when you think of someone and they call straight away, like the law of attraction, which I believe so much. They're not coincidence. They're just not. So there is something different. I just don't know if I exactly believe it's the traditional heaven and hell.
Well, no, I think you got to. I don't know. I'm not a expert in that.
You know it a lot better than me. You've spent a lot of time thinking about it.
I had a near-death experience once. It's a bit weird talking about this in front of Jackson, right? But it's like I'm not going to. I won't tell you about it all. But it's a pretty cool story. But I've had 5 overdoses in my life. Been hospitalized every time. One of them, was completely different than the rest. So I knew in my brain when I was convulsing and this and that and all this sort of stuff, and I'm talking, it was out of a scale of 1 to 10, it was at 50. Like it was a full-on thing. But I knew I would die if I closed my eyes. And then after a while, it sort of went all black and something was coming to take me away. Don't know what it was, but I can tell you it wasn't very good. Something, I don't know what it was. There was a longer story than that. But when I came to, I was like, and it wasn't hallucination. I've had a million hallucinations. I can tell you there wasn't anything that. Still today, I can still tell what that thing was. I could draw it right now, as clear as it is. And I said to my friend, because you got to understand, I was in, if you talk vibration, my vibration back then, I don't think there was anything good in it. It was, I lived a life of extreme, just no rules. No rules, no boundaries, no consideration, no nothing. There was no good part of that top vibrational scale. There, it was all down the bottom. But I said to my friend who, you know her, Beck, she comes from a gypsy family. And I was talking to her at dinner one night and I said to her, because after that near-death experience, I couldn't sleep in the dark for at least till Jackson was born. Couldn't sleep in the dark. I just couldn't do it. It was like, I don't know what that thing was. Anyway, she pulled up I told her about it and she goes, I'll show you what it was. Because it was like this dog with 2 tusks, but it looks like a pig. It had a hood that was a bit off of it, coming to me to take me away. I was fighting this thing with my mind like nothing else. But I can't remember the name of it. I'll see if I can Google it. She pulled it up. I was like, that's it. That's the thing. She goes, yeah, she goes, those things come to take you if you're on that side. I don't think there's a division. You're here, you just missed out. But I think there's definitely vibrational levels and you've got to go to the place that matches you. I really do. I think if you're a mass murderer, do you reckon you're going to go to the same place as someone who's served people their whole life?
No.
No? I watched a video the other day of a suicide lady that came back to life and she's like, whoa, this is what happens. Whether that's real or not, that's her experience. I don't know exactly, but there has to be energetic accountability.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So
I've got to find this thing. I don't know what it's called again. Yeah.
Trying to understand the timeline. And then when did you become a Mormon? Because that interests me because But
I became a Mormon.
Was that shortly after?
How old are you? 23. So I would have become a Mormon 25 years ago.
And what was it? Did that help with your experience around?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I think it did because it ironed out. I became a Mormon to get a girl though. Because Karina's parents sent her to Queensland and it was like, no, you can't be with this guy. They're like, no way in the world. So their whole life they're bred to be with a Mormon. To marry out or be without people outside the church is just a no-go zone. You can, but most of the church isn't. They're all sort of
It's
they marry missionaries.
It's probably easier because
it's
it's the same interests.
Cultural, yeah, it's heaps easier. You know, like you marry a different culture, you got these different things going on. Anyway, but her family was like real strict Mormons. Like, used to read the scriptures every night, do all that sort of stuff. So it was a big adjustment for me. So the mum was like, no, you can't be, no. And they sent her away, and I was like, oh, gee, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, I'll just become a Mormon then. And then, so I did that, but it was really good. Like it definitely opened my mind up to other things and why we're here, and or whether that religion's right or that religion's right, that's irrelevant, but there is something more. But I used to sit in the church and go, because they talk about blessings a lot, and people will say, oh, you get blessed. And that's where I used to say, there's no way God's sitting on a cloud going, Matt, you donated this to someone, boom, there's a blessing. And I'm like, there's no way in the world. I was just sitting in church just going, no, doesn't feel right. But what I did realize is, and I did nothing about energy then, zero. But I was like, I reckon it's set up that the better you do as a person, the more energy you come in contact with. So you almost just go to almost like a different, like in a video game, a bit like that. So you end up living this heightened energy state that just matches everything around. So I was learning about law of attraction before I even understood it.
I agree with that. When I got off the phone to you last night, I was like, Matt and I are so in the zone. Like we have great stuff just flying around everywhere. Yeah. That's what I thought, which is true. Like we're just attracting things to us like nothing else.
For sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's that whole thing. But sliding door moments, like sliding door moment was like, I went to court, and then all of a sudden I was supposed to go to jail, and the judge is sitting there going, she goes, Matt, I don't know. She goes, you should go to jail for quite a few years today. She goes, but I just see some good in you. Like she goes, I just see it. And I was trying to turn my life around. And she goes, because you got to understand, I was on Australia's Most Wanted. So you don't get on there easily. Like, it's not like I had a couple of parking fines. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I had some serious stuff to work out. But I don't know, sliding door moment. She's like, I'd love to find that judge today to say thanks. Look what you did. But that moment, like I walked out, like you can't tell me that angels didn't intervene. Like so somehow,
do you feel
impressed upon her that this kid is trying to make a go for himself?
So do you feel like you've sort of earned a change in energy over the last 20 years, like to make up for the things? Like, do you go, I hope I've made up for all the time I was on Most Wanted?
I think about that.
Yeah,
I do. That's why I work so hard on myself, because I've got an opportunity. I'm not going to let it go. Like I had a psychic reading the other day with Khalees Simone. So Khalees is in New York. She's fantastic. She's so good. I like her. I've become like, hey Khalees, how you going? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey Matt, blah, blah. Like, good. I like her. She said, and it's not too hard to work out, but she said, if you stayed on a similar path as you were, she knows nothing about me. She goes, if you stayed on this, no, that's what she said. She said that my ancestors or relatives up there are all clapping now because of the decisions I'm making in life. And she said, if you stayed on the other path, you would have died a long time ago. Like, she didn't know anything about me. It was like, I don't tell her anything. I just get on for a 50-minute reading. And it's like really interesting.
That interests me so much. Like I've made a decision whenever whatever happens with Cookie in the future, after that I will go to one.
Go to a reading? I'm
literally going in a hood and not even saying my name.
You should do it now.
And I'm sitting down.
Khalees is awesome.
I'm not talking, so get started.
You should do it.
I'm going to put my name in as like Michael Simpson and see if they can guess that it's little Jordan Bull from Terrigal hiding under a hood, and then I'll make a judgment.
Yeah, she'll know. She doesn't.
But you did that, remember? Because I said to you, "Wow, this," and you said you walked into the first one and didn't give them your name properly and sat down and went, "I'm not talking." So
that's right.
Yeah.
And I sat there.
Because you need to feel it.
I almost cancelled. So when I was a Mormon, I had this other reading, this psychic lady, and I was like, two psychics. I went to one years and years ago that only read for criminals and gay people. They wouldn't read for anybody else. And the lady, I took a girlfriend there that I was seeing at the time. I mean, when I say girlfriend, I probably saw her for 3 weeks, but it was like, I was just with this girl and we went there and she said, I sat down and I was 23 or something.
Karen was in gay people. What a strange market.
The only reason she read for them is you couldn't see her. You couldn't actually book for her. You had to be referred to her. But she only read for those people because they're more colourful in life. She said she couldn't read for people if they just went to a normal job and did all that sort of stuff. Like she just couldn't pick up the things. She liked to read for colourful like people that are just a bit everywhere. Anyway, she goes to the girl sitting there. She goes, he's not going to be with you for very long. Like she just sat there like this. And she goes, you're going to have a baby and you're going to move out of Sydney and you're going to move to a place there's like heaps of trees. And I'm like, what? Like literally, I was like pumping along in my life down there. You know, I thought I was killing it, you know, doing this, doing that, working on doors, like, you know, just doing whatever I wanted. I was like, she's so off. It's not, her name was Karen. She's so off. I couldn't even begin to tell you that. I just walked out there going, how ridiculous. I lost everything. And I rang Dino, moved up here and had a baby. There he is there. Not long after, I thought I was infertile because like I thought I was for many reasons, but I thought I was because, and it was just the most bizarre thing. Like, wow, I thought that was like about a year later, but I looked back and I like lost everything completely, like total whatever. And then left Sydney.
Wow.
And then another lady, like the next one, like all these years later, when Jackson was born and whatever, she came to the office. I went to cancel her the night before because I was a practicing Mormon, and they're like, "Oh no, you can't see psychics; they're demons and this and that. They read from dark energy and this and that." I went to ring her and say, "Don't worry." I rang and then hung up, and I thought, "I'll just see her tomorrow." That was the day before. I'll just see her. I walked in. I said, "I'm not going to say nothing to her because I reckon they just listen to what you say and then just." Find these little bits. I'm not going to say I just sat there like that. And she's like, she's belting out all these things. Like she's like, I'm like, whoa, gee, wow. And I was sitting there and think, bloody hell. And the guy who was her nephew said, take a picture of someone. And I'm like, all right. And I was blown away. Like I can't even remember the things she was saying exactly, but she was like, and then at the end she goes, is there anything else? And I'm like, wow. Like, I gave her the picture of me and my sister when I was 5 and she was 3, and she burst into tears, and she goes, like she's like, I'm in so much pain. She goes, this girl's dead, like this, and I'm like, yeah.
Oh, I couldn't handle that.
She goes, this girl's dead, and she's like, oh, this is so horrific. She goes, I can't look at it, and she puts the pictures down and she's crying. She goes,
oh, I would. Yeah. Is this at your office?
Yeah. It's at the office.
Imagine all the stuff.
So I've got one picture. of me and my sister. Only one. It was like this big one. I was 5, she was 3. I'm in like this brown checkered flannelette shirt, and she's like got this big smiley face with a little red thing. And she's going, this girl was abused. She was trafficked. And she goes, this girl was abused, passed around to all these men, blah, 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 blah. And she said she didn't kill herself. She was murdered. She was hung in a shed, and she was found in a shed, and she was sort of owned by this guy, and there's 2 men, there was a cover up, blah blah blah, and she's just going on about it all. I'm like, wow.
But anyway, do you want to know that sort of thing, or did that stir up, like, there's things in my life?
It was, you know what she says, it's in a town. She goes, it's in a town out here somewhere, and she says it's the guy is like an army guy, and he was, and like an army guy, blah blah blah. She goes, they know each other, the policeman there, this and that. She was in Gympie, found in a shed, just hanging there. But what she said was like, whoa, like, I didn't even bother. I was like, what do you do? But yeah, I just tell people she killed herself.
Goodness.
But it's like, yeah, she was 27, but she went on this whole thing. Anyway, so I don't know. You can't tell me that there's nothing else going on around us. Not just because of that. But the near-death experience I had, like I can still remember it today. I'm like, so like that, where I was going, I don't want to go there, like at all. Like, it wouldn't be very fun.
Do you think about all that stuff much?
All the time.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you probably don't want to talk about
it. All the time. Anyway, so sliding door moments.
The weird thing about sliding door moments is you don't know it's a sliding door moment until
that's right.
like you look back at it.
Yeah. So when things happen and they don't work out, it could be just a sliding door moment that you need to say, we've got a bigger plan for you over here. Like, just go with it. Like, just go with it and don't get so caught up on the sliding door moment. You know, like there's a million that have happened in my life, like just like everybody's. But it's that time you can sort of like be, you know, I'll burn the tattoo shop down because you didn't put it on my face. You know how angry I was? I can't even tell you. But like, imagine I was like, caused this whole ruckus and this and that and la la la, whatever else. And imagine I got what I wanted. Imagine. My whole life would have been changed. The whole thing. You know? So anyway, those sliding door moments in life, we can't see them. But on the way here, I was listening to Esther Hicks about stuff. And she was saying your inner self, your higher self knows exactly the path you need to go on. But unless you're tuned into it, it can't help you. So it's like when things are happening, I think things in the scriptures, and I'm not going to talk about religion, one of the scriptures that, like I'm not a reader, I've got a book here, I'm going to talk about this in a second, but not so much the book, but the length of things. I can't concentrate too much, I can do little bits. But it said there's 2 scriptures that I remember. So I had 2 contracts taken out in my life when I left Sydney. Best down there, all this sort of stuff. In there, it says, if you live a righteous life, your enemies can't find you. Something like this. If you live a righteous life, your enemies can't find you. I'm like, oh, that's good. I'm like, it's like give me that holy bread.
I better get to it.
You know, and I had all sorts of things happen. Like I had federal police come in, pull me out of the office, this and that, all sorts of stuff. You got no idea what I had to go through. And then I'm like, wow, okay. Because vibrationally, think about it. Now I know. Vibrationally, you're on a totally different path. They can't see you. You're vibrationally different. It's like the vibration of worry and the vibration of joy. 2 totally different
you're
things.
Not walking out of the office and bumping into them on the street.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I had some things. I had some messes down there. Anyway, and then the other one was that one, and there was another one. Yes, that when you live, I don't know the words. I'd love to find it one day. When you access the higher frequencies, it doesn't say frequency, but a higher source or something, you can control the elements of the universe. It says something almost like this. I don't know the words exactly, but you can control the elements. Think about that. So when you're tapped in to what the high flowing stream is, you can control the elements around you. Do you know? That's why I say 2020 to you every day, Jordan. That's why, like, if you're living a life that you're humming and you're making good decisions, you don't have to be the best, but you have to be the most in tune. So that means going to see Nan. Imagine you didn't see your Nan, this and that. Like you're on a good path for your age, you know. But then you got clean living. You know, I had McDonald's yesterday because I didn't have any other food anyway. I had to bring Tara back from Sydney. Yeah. Friggin' hell. Imagine you ate that every day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that's going to send you off track, but it says, and I was thinking to myself,
it actually makes you feel crap as soon as you finish.
It does. So I ate on the way home 2 deluxe quarter pounders, a muscle chef cookie or something at the service station, a Masashi Cocoa Pops bar, whatever, there's basically Cocoa Pops in there. I ate those. It's not like me. I was like, I had to eat something. I ate carrot cake at the cafe outside the hospital, and I ate Avo Smash trying to make myself feel better. And I thought to myself, that's why it's compounding. Imagine I did that every day.
Yeah.
Like literally I'd be 150 kilos, not of a toned muscle. I'd be like, that's how people end up like that.
Plus your body can't operate on it correctly either.
You wouldn't feel, I felt terrible yesterday. I was like, ugh, like yuck. But everything's the same as well. Like imagine you just make little good choices every day do you want to control the elements, Jordan?
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Do you want to? It's in the scriptures, whether you believe scriptures or not. I do. They're there. So it's like, but you can feel it when you're on a path of high frequency. We're talking about frequency. There you go. Funny how it goes back to that all the time. But when you're on a path of high frequency, or you're on a path of goodness, let's call it goodness. When you're on a path of goodness, things just go good.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't they?
Yep.
You said last night, we're in the zone, this and that, whatever. Why wouldn't you do that every day? Like, why wouldn't you? People are lazy. That's why. People would rather just enjoy just drinking beer with, hanging out, doing it, because it doesn't take much effort to do that. It takes time, takes the same amount of time, but to drag yourself out of bed and drag yourself to somewhere and give 110% for 45 minutes, it's like to make yourself fitter And then at work, why don't people not make prospecting calls when they're in business? Why?
Laziness.
Laziness.
Yeah.
You were that before.
I was like Mr.
And I used to
Low-hanging fruit.
blow my stack at you.
Mm.
Right out of the zone. I used to go to the bottom of the chart and say, Jordan, pick up that friggin' phone and prospect and stop pretending you're Donald Trump at a real estate office, cruising around thinking you're amazing when you're a fraud. I was
different to other agents though.
Because you come in with your aviators, all this like, I'm rocking the house. I'm like, mate, set yourself up for when the market changes or your future thing. And now you do. Now you're out there every day. I drove down the street the other day and you're in the front door of someone looking $1 million, talking to them, and you said, oh, they're selling soon. You rang me later. Mate, I was that proud of you. Can't even tell you. That proud of you. I was like, now we're rocking. You got the missing ingredient now because you've got all the other stuff going on. But like now I can't even tell you how proud I was. The street I live in too.
Yeah.
I was like, drove down and I was like, that's my boy. Do you know what I mean? But what converted for you? Because you were the king of low-hanging fruit and going to lunches before, drive me nuts. And you used to sneak it too. And I'd be like, where's Jordan? And Ash would be like,
I just used to always think, why would I go and prospect someone for 20 years when I can find somebody in the momentum that's ready to execute a contract today? That's what I used to think. And you used to go, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I didn't put it together that if you actually do it for a while, the long-hanging fruit actually become low-hanging fruit every month.
That's true. But you know what it is, George?
I have to get my brain around
it's
it.
in the moment of saying yes and no. It's in the moment of saying yes. It's very hard to say, actually, I'm going to stop all the fun stuff. I'm going to stop all the stuff that's giving me adrenaline, this, that. I'm going to prospect for an hour with no return. Zero return. Like, that's the hard part. I'm going to go to the gym when really no one will know if I do or don't.
Yeah.
But they're not thinking 18 months' time. You can be a different person in 18 months' time.
Well, you said all the time listings. I've been chasing that listing for 25 years. One that just popped up in Terrigal that we've attracted to us. And you said I was door knocking that person when I opened the business 27 years ago. Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
It was. It was very hard too. Like, it was very hard because like I had no money. I had nothing. And I just all I had was hard work. Like, I just was like, knock on the door, rejection, all day, every day, all day. I'd be like, well, it's going to go somewhere. It has to. I'll just eat nothing until I get there. Do you know, like I couldn't afford anything. Like, and I think sometimes people, they go, well, we get messages all the time, Jordan. How do I sell property today? Well, I don't think of it like that. I think of like, how do you live today and sell property tomorrow because you've done the hard work today? Like, you just got to get by, like, somehow. Like, I lived at Karina's mum's, had him. I used to get up at friggin' 2 a.m. and tap his bum because he was crying. And like, when Jackson was born, no word of a lie, I was like, I can't afford nappies. I can't do it. I don't have any money. What am I going to do? Irresponsible of me having him. I can tell you that right now, because it wasn't the right time. But he's taught me a lot. But I thought, I'll get cloth nappies and I'll wash them like Fred Flintstone would, and with the big bobby pins at the side. That's what I did. That's what I said. I said I couldn't afford disposable nappies. Yeah.
Can I say something that you said the other day, which I just keep laughing about? If for any reason I lost my business, I'd buy a motorhome and I'd spray McGrath on the side and I'd go back to door knocking again.
I would.
I was laughing my head off.
No, I actually would. You don't understand. That's my plan. That's my fallback position. You can't lose.
That's how much I believe it, but it's just so crazy.
You can't lose. And then when I made a success of it, I'd write a book called Starting Again.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Yeah. But it's like you got to succeed. You're going to succeed. If you just apply yourself, you're going to succeed. But isn't it interesting that people say no to the stuff? When we talk about people that, complain. Like, have you met those people who go, oh, mate, freaking, like, they just hate everything. Like, hate life. Like, they just hate their job, hate life, hate this, hate that. But all they do is they say yes to the average things. It's their responsibility. Like, they're living a life that's reflecting what they've said yes and no to. Because if you say yes enough to making yourself healthy and fit, if you don't like your job, apply for 20 jobs a day
Yeah.
that you like. Just go and say to wherever you want to go, like if you want to be a photographer, say, if that's your passion and you're working as a pharmacy assistant and hate it, be a pharmacy assistant, but every day after work, pick up the camera and go shoot things for 2 hours and go send them, or take such great shots that you just put them on Instagram. We'll talk about profile in a sec, but put them on Instagram, create a website. I tell Jackson all the time. Here's a good example. Jackson, have you made your website to train people for $99 a month on how to use a camera? No. Yeah. Why?
Laziness.
What do you do every day for 3 hours a night, screaming out of that room? You lock yourself in. Play Xbox. I just found 3 hours a day that Jackson has said yes to playing Xbox. Are you going to be an Xbox professional?
It's not 3 hours.
No. Don't start lying. So, are you going to be an Xbox professional around the world? Blah blah blah. No. Is your passion photography? Do you want to create wealth? Yeah. And do you want leverage in life? And do you want profile? Yeah. You're saying yes to the wrong thing. As your dad, I'm telling you, you're saying yes to the wrong thing. Because you say you want all this every day. I hear it. I want to travel. So what's your goals? You want to travel, take photos around the world, contract, and be really well known for what you do. You've got an uncle that does that already. But you're saying yes to playing Xbox, hanging out with your mates every day for 3 hours. You could even just cut that in half and put 1.5 hours a day into creating a website. You can make websites, create a website, go and take great photos every day, just 3, and go put them on the website, market that thing, put it on Instagram, start building your profile, call people that would want those sort of photos, prospect them. I reckon in 12 months' time, you'll have a little business that would be secondary to what you do now. Yeah. But he's saying yes to stuff that's, if you keep doing that, you'll live an okay life. Would you be satisfied though? Probably not. There's the answer. And that's what life is about. You have total responsibility for the management of your time and the results that you live down the track.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so disciplined. I'm not 1,000,000% disciplined, but I'm pretty disciplined. Yeah, it's like...
There's no excuse for stuff like that. I was speaking to Mum last night and she said to me, she works whatever we work, plus she, in combination with our family, she wakes my nan up, puts her to bed on the nights that she does, and she said, "Oh, Jordan, I walked every morning my entire life." She gets up at like 3:30 now. Does her walk.
She what?
She gets up at like 3:30 or 4 o'clock and does her walk for an hour because that was important. So she could still fit in getting Cookie up and bathing her and still working her 60 or 70 hours a week.
You can do it if you want to.
Decision.
You can do it if you want to.
She says to me, "I'm not copying any excuses from anyone ever again.
Yeah.
If I can manage a lady, work in real estate for 70 hours a week and still go to the gym 2 hours a day, like walk, and then she goes in the evening after she puts her to bed." She's like, that's a perfect example of it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you've got to manage your energy though. Like, so you don't want to fit things in. Like today, I could have easily trained today before I did this, but I didn't feel like it was too early. I had a bit of a full day yesterday and I wanted to be full energy for a podcast. Not trained and then this. I was going to do cardio, but then I'd be all sweaty. I wouldn't feel the same. So I'll train this afternoon. But yeah, sometimes you got to move things around a little bit. And sometimes you got to stretch. Sometimes you're just going to be like you say, "Oh, I'm too busy. I can't fit anything else." Oh, well, that's just the journey because you're stretching yourself. Let's talk about profile quickly. Yeah. So, so building profile, you're in an interesting space right now, Jordan. How are you building your profile? How do you so I think this is the key. Bryce and I talk about this all the time. Bryce and I talk about the most powerful thing that you'll have moving into the next 10 years is personal brand.
Literally, I'd put all my chips in on that too. Yeah. Agree completely.
Yeah. So you're a young man. How's your personal brand? What are you seeing there? Like, what advice do you have for people that in your space, like your brand is small compared to where you want to be right now? You talk about David Beckham and all these types of people that you look at. What are you doing?
I think my brand...
let me jump in. 1 sec. Sorry, rather than say, what are you doing? I think people need help with personal brand. I think because a lot of people don't know where to start. A lot of people are like, well, because profile equals pay as well.
Mm.
So when your profile is large, people will pay you to do different things. Work becomes easier, life becomes more doors open, sort of thing. So it's worth building.
Of course.
It has a lot of value.
Yeah.
So if you're in real estate or a business and this and that, Jackson, photos, photography, his uncle has a very strong personal brand in Thingo. But I think it's going to be the highest value position in work.
For sure.
In life.
Yeah. Well, I think brand is what people say about you when you're not around.
Yeah.
That's my definition of brand. I actually heard my brand on the weekend. Somebody said it to me. Someone actually said it to John. He said, that guy's got the best work ethic I've ever seen in a young person. And if he shakes your hand on that, that's it. It's done. He's a man of his word. And I liked that. And that's from somebody that doesn't have social media and all that sort of stuff, which is irrelevant. He just knew I was a bankable guy and I'd work very hard to get the job done, which I thought was cool. But my brand's gone through a really interesting thing. I think with brand, people are so scared to give it a crack. My first year of trying to create brand was an absolute train wreck. I think I polarized every single person because in marketing, they say you got to work out who's your market, how you're going to communicate with them, like what mediums. There's no point if my market was 80-year-old people to be on social media because they're not there. Like, who's my market? What am I going to say to them to interest them? And how am I going to keep building the same audience into my pool? So I'm like, social, easy. I'm just going to talk at the camera. I'm giving it a crack. I'm working very hard, rah, 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 rah. And I'm just going to like yell my experiences at people. Everybody's like, F that guy. I can't stand him. And you're like, Jordan, there's a disconnect between you don't really have the results yet. This is all them years ago. You don't really have the results yet. Like you haven't earned the respect.
Yeah.
Put some results on the board and then maybe just discuss your journey to this point. And since I started doing that, talking about stuff that I've done, well, not even about stuff that I've done, just sort of kept people in the loop of what's been happening through my career up to this point, more like a documentary. It feels a lot better. Plus, my results are a lot better now. Like I've done things in combination with you and the team, which people have come around to respect now. But I think brand's hard. Like you just got to actually give it a crack and work out what people like. But I do also think that you need to be in all spaces. Like my strengths personally are different to yours. Like I'm good at community events. I'm good. You throw me in a room of 100 people, I'll speak to every single person. Like, and I'll find my group and I'll chat and people will go, that Jordan guy's like funny dude or whatever the next day. Like I can make an impression on, in my opinion, quite easily. But you would be hiding in the corner going,
I wouldn't even go.
Get me the hell out of here.
Yeah.
So I think you got to go on your strengths too. I don't know. What do you like? You built your brand from just becoming the best real estate agent ever, like, and then it developed into the 31-minute space and energy and all that sort of stuff. But you sort of earned it. Like you've earned that space. And I think, well, I don't want to wait 20 years until I got a personal brand. Can I build it now?
I don't think so.
Yeah, this is what we talk about.
Yeah, I
all
don't
the
think
time.
so. And I think you're on the right track from what I see, and I think you'll build a bigger brand than I have. But I think example is what people attach themselves to. So like I think when you're fake, and you were fake before, you were fake. You were trying to be someone. People didn't like it. And they pushed back, and they were like, "This guy's just a tosser."
Yeah.
But I could see who you were, you know, and I used to defend you. I'd have my sword out, be like, no, he's
that's what Chris used to say. He said, Matt at the board meetings is like a knight with armor on. He's got all these wolves trying to get at you, and he's just in his shield swinging like, stay away from him.
Yeah, because I believed in you.
Yeah.
You know, like I did. I could see who you were. Like, and I've always said to you, like, if you come from here out, I think people will resonate with that because you're a good person that cares and works hard. And I think there's a lot of admirable traits around you. And that's really what I think people want to be. Like Andrew Tate. You know, I think there's also oversaturation too. Like I don't watch his stuff now because it's I think, you know, he's got his position, and it's like a bit confronting as well, like as in like his opinion, that's his thing. That's his avatar.
Yeah. Controversial opinions.
Yeah.
Boom.
But it's so much that it's like, I don't think there's like, it's not an accelerator effect, like as in accelerator down, accelerator back, accelerator down, you know, and I think that, you know, his brand is just, I can't watch him now because you sort of know what you're going to get. You sort of, it's like
You know what he's talking
everywhere.
about? All the stuff in the world right now that everybody's too scared to talk about, but
He does.
everybody's thinking.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, there has been some things that I've disagreed with. There's other stuff that I'm like, a politician needs to say that because like that is spot on.
Yeah.
But who's his marketplace?
It feels like he's trying to be that, whereas like you look at Ron DeSantis in Florida, he says that he's a politician. He's probably one of the greatest politicians I've had no interest in politics for years, but Ron DeSantis will stand up and say, "This is wrong," and you'll get others that'll say up. Do you watch that the Congress meetings in America?
Oh, on and off, yeah.
You get the corrupt ones; they get on there, and then Rand Paul will ask them questions. Even what is a woman? Like all these things, and they just don't answer. They just skirt around, just waffling on about stuff. Like it's the most weirdest thing. Like, and have you seen the head of the border control over there? It's really interesting. Personal brand. If you talk about that, like my imposition of personal brand with some of those guys, like the head of the border control, the highest ranking guy who's in charge of border control in America, just lets. There's something like 500,000 migrants just running across the borders every day in America. They're just trying to destroy the country, because they're all in this corrupt New World Order thing. And they ask them questions like, "Why don't you stop them?" Like just these really things. Like they just don't answer. They just like say, "Oh, we won't talk about that." The head of the FBI cybersecurity was in front of another guy. And you get some really good people asking questions. There's Rand Paul, there's Matt Getz, and these other guys, and they're like us asking questions like Hunter Biden's laptop, and the head of the cybersecurity goes, "Where is Hunter Biden's laptop?" "Well, I can't answer that. I don't know." Like this sort of question.
You don't understand who holds them accountable for
no
that?
one, because there's all anyway. Don't worry about it. We'll go on a different tangent, but there's
Can I ask
a
you a
whole
question?
corrupt thing going on.
I know you go.
But with your personal brand, you got to think to yourself, because it is where the new frontier. So exposure, like if you're 60 years old right now and you want to continue on, and I reckon you can create something pretty cool from 60 to 70 if you want to, or 50 to 70 or whatever. But you've got to be in the space to connect with people. Like someone said something interesting to me the other day. Do you think John McGrath would have created the same profile in the social media space today, like with all of the things available today, as he did 30 years ago? That's an interesting thing to think about.
How do you build it much faster now?
But he doesn't have social. He doesn't use it.
No, I know, but his reach has come from social, but it just hasn't been his. Like look at Shark Tank, for example. That's huge.
No, I know, but I think he would. Like I think he'd work it out because he's very IT driven and savvy and all that sort of stuff. But it's changed, is what they're saying.
This is what I was going to ask you. If you were me right now, what would you do to build your personal brand?
What would I do?
Yeah.
I would see it as a 20-year journey, which you don't want to. I'd see it as a 20-year journey, but every day I'd be doing something small. Everything in success is about something small. Every single thing you think about, whether you want to build a business, you want to create great results in sales, you want to create a phenomenal body, you want to be a great parent, you want to be a great partner, everything, create wealth, which you're on that journey. It's a daily decision. So what I would do is something meaningful on Instagram. Jackson, what did we post yesterday? Nothing. Last night, we should vlog some of the conversations we have. I'm like, that's not good enough. We're supposed to. I wasn't there yesterday, so he should have done at least one story. So my objective is like I'm older than you, Jordan, but I'm still on it every day because I know the value of compounding. So when I saw Gary Teak all those years ago, and he said the key to great wealth is compounding, it meant nothing to me.
Compound.
That's like me saying to Jackson, "Go learn compounding, Jackson." He's got no idea what I'm talking about, and he has no interest. But in 20 years' time, he's going to know.
Yeah.
But compounding is something meaningful today. So something I can do today, and you got to just, my whole real estate career, I just copy people.
So you just think social at the moment?
Well, no. But work ethic, like whatever area it is. So if you want to build, part of it is social, you got to be there. But you got to do something every day. So if you're not in front of the camera every day doing something, you're going backwards. That's if it's part of your plan. It's part of mine. Because I would like 31 Minutes to be a global brand one day, coupled with my results at work. That's part of the thing for me. So I don't want to be Mr. 31. I want to be phenomenal real estate agent, part of a great company, great team, all of us. Build your. I've said to you a million times, part of my passion is to help you build your profile. I don't know why, but it is. I want to see you do really well. I think you've earned it. I admire you as a young man. I think you're extraordinarily focused.
It's like a coach training an
Olympic
Olympic
athlete. It's
athlete.
very rewarding for me. I've cried one day when you get to
a gold medal.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. But I've got a lot of interest in that because you bring the other part. If you didn't have the other part, I wouldn't bother. But it's a bit rewarding for me to see you grow and see you this and that, whatever. So part of me let's talk about that. Part of me every day is to make sure you're doing what you're doing. You need to do because you can't see it. It's like before, you used to get that frustrated at me because I'd walk in literally and go, have you prospected today, Jordan? In front of everyone. And you go, oh, sure, some schmoozy half-selling description. I'm like, you're lying, Jordan. You haven't. Start prospecting. I'd walk the door and walk out and slam the door. But no. Well, no. Does it mean something to you today?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And I don't apologise one bit for upsetting you.
I used to say to you, why are you so hard on me? And you used to say, do you think an Olympic coach says to their athlete, you're just the best, mate. You're just the best. Don't worry about training. Like, you don't need to do anything better. No. You're just the best. And I always think about that now, and I'm like, I've made a decision to be the best in the business, and I need to just get better.
And you bring your part.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. You fake part of it, I'll tell you, you're a friggin' faker.
Yeah.
You're lying, you don't belong here. That's the sort of deal we have. Same as with me. If I'm like not right to you, say, no, I don't think that's right. Like, and I respect that. So that's what I'm saying to you. Personal brand is built in daily decisions every day in line with what you want to be. You've got to see yourself as like a bit of an avatar down the track. What do you want to build? So do you want to build the fittest version of you? Do you want to build the most successful real estate version of you? Do you want to build a photography version of you? Do you want a training platform? What do you want to build? Like, what does that look like? I think that's where vision's really important. Like, what do you want to shoot for? And then every day you need to do a little bit in that area. Every day. So if you go back to, I'd love, Jackson, somehow to put up some of my old videos when I used to carry a tripod down to Lobster Beach and set it up with a little thing that flips out like this and stand there and go, Monday starter, like looking like an AIDS victim, like that looked terrible. Like I was so skinny and so it's really bad. And I was like, and I was just waffling about stuff. But it was part, can you see though? It was part of my compounding alignment. Do you know, like,
plus it gets you comfortable in front of a camera. You get better at speaking. It's better when you go and do talks. It's better now. It's just getting into it.
There we go.
But people are worried about what people think. Like, the one thing that I'm proud of myself for doing, it was craziness for 2 years, but I was brave enough just to go, you know what? I might miss the hoop a few times. I'll get it eventually. And I did. Like I had to shoot and miss a few times before I could work out. Like,
there'll be a million more of those for you as well.
Exactly, but no one's brave enough to actually go, you know what? Let them laugh. But they're not doing it.
But here's the difference. Let's go on that for 1 sec. The difference is you were so off track, I couldn't even tell you before.
I know.
So off track. But to your credit, you were like, okay. You went down that path where people are like, that guy just makes me vomit. Yeah. Like literally. And they're all, you ended up on Lords of Properties and all this sort of stuff, all that. Well, there was so much stuff around you, but you were like, okay, I'll use that and I'll start redirecting on how you felt, but a little bit of feedback along the way. And that's the key. So like 15 years ago when I was doing videos, I didn't even know why. Like before Twitter was made and all that sort of stuff, I used to text my mates, a group, I told you, I used to text them all. I put a group together in my phone. I used to text them motivational statements. This is before any social media was ever made. And people were writing back, why are you texting me at 4:30 in the morning? Like, get up, make the day great. If it's going to be, it's up to me. All this like, and people, and it was in the old Nokia phones. You could make a group
back again. Could you imagine your mates waking up like?
And it was like not these phones. You know the ones with the screen where you text and it comes out like a little typewriter. You know those ones, the Nokias.
Yeah,
those. Like, I do it, and it was really cool invention to have a group in there. Like I was like, anyway, every day, 4:30 in the morning, same time, I'd do the thing. People were like, thanks. Like, like, or like, why are you texting me?
Best.
Like, I wish I kept them. It was so good. But look where it's led to over time. Like, I didn't know it back then, but I was just going what you were doing, going on what felt, but then be like, oh, maybe I should take that guy out of the group, but still do it.
Yeah.
And then like, way over here. Same as with prospecting. So what I would say to you, personal brand, I think, is an alignment with your greater vision. Because everyone's personal brand is going to be different. Some people don't want to be famous. Some people want to travel the country or the world and take photos of people and be known for great photos, but not be in front of a camera talking like this. You know, so you've got to understand, if you look back in your life in 30 years' time and go, wow, I really did what was in here. Because regret is the opposite. So regret is stopping because everybody was giving you a hard time. Actually, I'm never going to touch Instagram again because everyone's writing me off and everyone's, imagine you did that. You know, so like it's having that thing with, where do you want to go? Are you prepared to weather the storm along the way? Because there's going to be times when people are going to say like, oh, that's wrong, right, have their opinion. But I think it's harder to deal with regret than it is to walk through the storm of opinions on, no, this is where I need to go.
It's also like an attention game, like we say to people with their listing at the moment. It's all about it, like how many eyeballs can we get on your listing. I think like if it's, look at Donald Trump, look how much attention that guy has caught.
Yeah.
Like it's out of control. But his brand's mixed.
But go back all those years though, when a lot of people don't see that he made a decision to be in the tabloids and then to be a great builder.
It's a part of the process,
yes,
isn't it? Like
it is.
That everybody's going to have a different opinion on you, and it's like it's just a part of the process.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up. Personal brand is, I think, the most important space you need to think about now. And it's like, are you prepared? What does that look like for you? And then are you going to get in front of a camera and be like, if you're an agent, I think you should be. If you're an agent, you should be like, about property and things like this and building a bit of connection with personal, like as in who you are, because I think people do engage you as the product and you want people to resonate with that. Like I do. I want them to know my vibe as well when they're thinking about employing me as an agent. I think personal brand, let's talk about real estate for 2 seconds. I think personal brand, if I was an agent today, I would probably move away from this, I'm amazing, here's my 5 stars.
Yeah.
You know, like I saw an ad yesterday from this agent that I know is just but 5-star rating on Rate My Agent on an ad that they sent out. I would be more creative than that stuff. I'd be more creative than putting sold up and this and that. That just clicked.
I believe it's about, mate. It's a TV show now.
Well, it is. So I would think about it I do a little bit of that sometimes, but I would actually consult a marketing person, maybe. Bit of that. And I would set out to create a personal brand, even in business, mate, like the same thing. So, but real estate, I know the space. I would not go down the path of the, look at me, I sold this. Look at me, I sold that. Look at this, I sold that. Here's my market report. Hey, this is everything I've sold. Like I see them everywhere. There's nothing standout there.
A donut store is a perfect example. If you hold a donut and say, this is the best donut and it's great and you should buy it.
It's round and it's got a hole.
Yeah.
And it's a donut.
Or if you go through the process, this is us making it handmade at 4:30 in the morning, and then it goes into the thing and it goes over and into the icing, and we spend all this time like putting all. If you just documented that, people would be like, what a cool donut. Didn't realize that's what they did to make it.
Yeah, there's a donut store on the corner of our street, around the corner.
Yeah.
Donut thing. A young girl started it with just her, I think it was just enough money, or a cool story around it. But every time I drive past the shop, I think about that.
Yeah.
You know, like I think, and it's always packed.
That's funny because that's why I thought of it. I think that's like a great business to market. You know what's really tricky about real estate agents? We're the product.
Yeah, we are the product, but that's what I'm saying to you. You've got to personalize the product. Yeah. Because like if I was doing it all again, you asked me what would I do all again, I would do exactly what I did, building a core area, building the work ethic, all of that, exactly the same. But I would probably be the opposite of what agents are doing now, like, which I sort of am in a way, but a little bit non-real estate. I am now, but like I would work out a way where I could market myself as a real estate agent. Like when I did the Who Is Matt Stein, I think I've done it reasonably okay, but more like your results have to be great regardless. You can't be a terrible real estate agent and market yourself in a way that's going to be attractive, because when people are attracted to you, they're attracted to your results, number one. So you've got to set out to be an expert in your field. That you can't get away from that.
Agreed.
You've got to work hard. You've got to have a system. You've got to know what you're doing. You've got to increase your results, be on that journey. But I would also bring people along on the journey where I'm at then. So like if you're a young agent, you don't have a lot of results, I would personalize it with something, not vlogging exactly, but snippets of what you're learning, or what, share some tips, but more like, because people do want to get behind someone going in a direction.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's what attracts people in. They're attracted to your vision.
Yeah.
But you're just normally a bit further ahead.
Yeah.
Like people would look at your vision and go, I want to be a principal like Matt, or I want to have a body like him at 50.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what attracts that pool of people behind you.
Yeah.
It's like the shark and all the fish attached.
Yeah, that's right. So if I was a young agent, I have some good clues along the way, but the Who Is Matt Steinway campaign, I genuinely did it because I wanted to know who Matt Steinway was. So I didn't say, let's run a Matt Steinway is number one campaign, or let's run a Matt Steinway, look at me type campaign. I was like, I want to get people to go, and I got that from a marketing company. They did design that for me back then. And then I'd be like, so let's say you were doing gingerbread houses like we do. I would vlog that, delivering them to people, hand delivering them, and I'd get someone like Jackson and pay him to follow me around for that morning, and I'd create like that segment, and then I'd something else that I'm doing as well. Like, so bring people along on that journey where they're like, look, have you seen this guy? Because that's what you want people to say. You don't want people to say that guy is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like as in, oh, he's just so impressive because he's getting out of some rented Ferrari. That's the opposite. You want people to go, have you seen that guy? Like we just said about the donut shop. So we've just told tens of thousands of people about a donut shop at Terrigal because I heard her story about having just enough money. She learned it from her dad or something to start that thing. And you know what I said to myself? A donut shop, that's really risky.
Very risky.
Look at it. It's killing it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying to you.
Universe rewards effort.
Yeah, that's right. So they're making the good donuts. You've got to have results, or be on a journey for the results, and you've got to become an expert in your field.
So true. There's no point someone going there and eating a donut.
Yeah, that's right. There's a line out the door most days. So you've got to have the product. You've got to create the results and be on that journey. And then you've got to make people notice you by authenticity. But you've got to be consistent as well. This is like a daily thing. This is what I'm saying to you. It all fits together. So if I was building a personal brand, what part is that? So is it like you got to have all those compartments or components every day that you're giving a little bit of thing to? If yours is video and that's part of it, or photos or whatever on Instagram, you got to do it every day. So 5 stories a day, 1 post a day, video a day. But you got to say in 15 years' time, it's going to end up somewhere. And I think that's where a lot of people get a bit like, because if they don't see results after a year or 2, they get a bit flat and they're like, whatever. But if you're on your journey of creating phenomenal success in your career, and that's the attachment to you, that's where you were going wrong before, because you were making the profile the number one focus, not your results. And you were so impatient about your profile, trying to make it. And I think people could feel that. People could feel it wasn't real. It was a bit unauthentic. And that's where you're getting a lot of backlash. Whereas now you're on the results path. You're on that, I want to become number one path, and you're going to, and I know your vision. You've got all that stuff, and I can feel it. Like I'm attracted to it. You brought me. I'm like, okay, I want to get behind this guy. And now your profile building is separate to that, but it's coming along with it. I think you've got the formula for success now.